Right now, this iPhone is selling on eBay for $7,500. It's an old iPhone 4S that's like 10 years old. Besides that, there are many other iPhones and even iPads that people want to sell for much more than they're actually worth. Back in the day, there was even an iPhone selling for $99,000. And no, it wasn't made out of gold. So why would anyone be willing to pay those ridiculous amounts for an iPhone, especially for an old one? In order to understand what is going on, or more importantly, what was happening a couple of years back, we need to know what added value to those smartphones. Because I don't think that anyone would be willing to buy one of my old iPhones for such an amount. The entire value of these phones lies in the software, more specifically one application that nobody else can have right now, namely the Flappy Bird. The term is probably not something I need to explain, but for the two of you watching this who have never heard about it, it's a simple arcade-style mobile game that you can install on your phone and enjoy playing while waiting for your bus to arrive. It was a side-scroll game with bright colors and it was fun. At first, the game was not very popular. It was another random, colorful game on the App Store until it started getting traction. Then, after some time of the game being available, it really popped off. Suddenly, it seemed like everyone was playing it. Back in 2014, I guarantee you that if you looked over the shoulders of some random people in your daily commute, at least some of them would be playing Flappy Bird on their iPhone 4S. I mean, if it stopped there, everything would be fine. Like any other smartphone game, it could follow the same trajectory of being unknown, then all of a sudden the most popular game for some time and then drop into the shadows of forgotten games. This wasn't the case with Flappy Bird, however. The game was simple and the goal was literally to go as far ahead as possible while avoiding the big green tubes standing in the way. But the nature of the game was so addictive that it caused many problems. Children in school were playing it practically non-stop during the breaks, at home and whenever the time permitted, which resulted in their poor performance. Their teachers complained, their parents complained, and the children themselves complained, but they did it only because they couldn't play it anymore. Even older people and adults that were playing started complaining. Whenever they failed the game, they got angry. At times, they were accusing the developer of faulty software or some kind of issue preventing them from getting a higher score in the game. People were competing who gets further. It was a big deal. And as I already mentioned, all of this stuff got to the developers of the game. We are now getting to the core reason why there are old iPhones, quote, worth thousands of dollars on eBay. The Flappy Bird was developed by the company named Gears, and it was founded in Hanoi, Vietnam by a programmer named Dong Nguyen, and this app ultimately made him millions. At the end of January 2014, it was the most downloaded free game in the App Store. And during its peak, the app was making $50,000 a day. He was really passionate about his invention, and we can say that he was also pretty good at what he was doing. However, he was a bit too caring about what people thought. As I said, there were many complaints, although not really because the game wasn't working properly, but rather because people were fed up either with the children always playing it, or simply how addictive this game was. This is obviously not the developer's fault, like if you don't want to play it, just stop. But he got bombarded with emails, tweets, and messages about the addictive nature of the game. Everyone wanted something from him. And Nguyen replied publicly to almost every tweet mentioning him. He tried to help everyone, explain how it works, and make sure they're doing the right stuff, but there was so much attention that he decided to end it. But ultimately, he felt guilty for all the people becoming addicted to it. He definitely didn't feel very good at that time. That's when Nguyen said publicly that all the attention ruined his life and he took the game down from all platforms. So it was no longer possible to download it. The people who already got it on their phones could simply keep on playing, but for the new users, it was simply not possible to install the Flappy Bird. Apple's App Store didn't have a problem with the app, Google Play did neither. It disappeared solely for the reason that its developer removed it. So what could you do next? How could you just keep on playing the game? Well, the game was pretty hyped. It wasn't just about the high score, but also who had it and who didn't. If you didn't install Flappy Bird when it was available, then you couldn't just get it later because it got deleted. So you have to be creative. And at that time, you had pretty much 5 options. The first one would be to get the APK file if you are on Android. On Androids, it was a bit simpler because you could just get the APK installer file. So the fact that Google Play removed it didn't play a huge role. Androids are more open and this makes stuff a bit easier. But for the folks out there having an iPhone, which back in 2014 was much more limited than it is today, well, for them, it was a different story. There's almost no way to install apps without the App Store. Unless, that is, you would jailbreak your iPhone and install it through Cydia. It used to be a trend. Jailbreaking your iPhone seemed like the right move because that would allow you to install anything you needed and get out of the Apple's cage that's limiting pretty much everything you do on your phone. That came with the caveat though. Jailbreaking doesn't only allow you to do stuff with your iPhone that you couldn't do before, it also voids the warranty. It's frowned upon by Apple and you could do some serious stuff to your iPhone if you didn't know what you were doing. So this didn't seem to be the right option either. What you could do next is to play the online version. After the removal of Flappy Bird, suddenly everyone wanted to get the piece of the same cake and popularity. There were so many websites and online games emulating this look. Maybe not the name the same, but it's the same thing. The game itself wasn't that hard to develop. It's a 2D, colorful bird flying through the gaps, getting as far as he can. This would still not be the best option on an iPhone. Although not only websites with online Flappy Bird started emerging, also App Store apps that were clones of the original started appearing. So yeah, you could play the weird clones too. Or the last option you had was to buy an used iPhone with Flappy Bird already installed on it. That's the actual reason why some iPhones on eBay are so expensive. Right now in 2022 or 2023, it's not that common. People don't really care that much about that Flappy Bird anymore. We're now much more interested in a different bird and all the stuff going on with it. So the expensive iPhones having Flappy Bird installed are just a relic of the past. But back in 2014, it was a serious business. It even got to a point where eBay started removing the listings containing the Flappy Bird app being installed. And the interesting thing is that the reasons that they gave kind of vary. The sellers claim that eBay wasn't clear why they removed the iPhone 5s auction for $98,000 and many others. The reasons were that on eBay you can only sell factory reset devices or that the app on iPhone violates Apple's terms of service. Whatever it was, eBay didn't like it, and in my personal opinion, the reason was that it was a new weird thing going on and eBay didn't want to participate in it. They wanted to stay as a serious business. I mean, I do get it. Like, I can't imagine how it would work if there were scammers. Think about it. You could literally get a screenshot showing the app installed and running and sell it on eBay, saying that the product is as it looks on photos. And yeah, the buyer would receive an iPhone with the screenshot of the game, so technically it's as seen on photos. I mean, yeah, it's a weird business model to say the least, and that's why I think eBay wanted to back out. So yeah, the hype is now officially over. But if you still happen to find an iPhone with the original game installed, you may still feel like it has a chance of selling for a couple of hundreds or thousands even. And this explains why there are still iPhones out there which are being sold for $7,500. Thanks a lot for watching till the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.